This Indian company is making zero waste a way of life. A lot of us are searching for the right ethical and sustainable personal care and home care products on an everyday basis that do not contain harmful chemicals or are not packaged in plastic. Well, guess what? Bare Necessities is your answer. This Indian brand, as their name suggests, is all about being minimal and mindful. To discuss this in detail, we're in conversation with Mehul Manjeshwar, who is the CMO at Bare Necessities. Thank you so much, Mehul, for taking out time and speaking to me today.
Thank you so much, Navya. Thank you for having me. You're doing wonderful things yourself, so I'm very glad to just be here.
Thank you so much. Mehul, Bare Necessities is playing a very crucial role in encouraging customers to have access to a very sustainable and eco-friendly lifestyle. What led to the creation of this brand that promotes a waste-free living? And what is your idea of bare necessities in life?
The second part of the question is very, very impactful, but I'll just tell you a little bit about the brand as well and how it came to be, right? So from our founder's perspective, whose name is Seher Mansoor, is also technically my wife now. So from her perspective, she actually was doing a lot of work in the rural sector of Karnataka. She was giving access, working with an organization to provide solar energy access to people who are, tea walas or things like that, who literally need electricity. And while doing that on the side, she was also doing bicycling around these rural Karnataka areas, and she realized that waste pickers or waste warriors, as we like to call them, literally are cleaning up these small dump sites or bigger landfills with their bare hands,
Yes.
right? They have no tools, they have no gloves. In COVID, it got even worse. So that was the 5-6 years ago when no one was even talking about zero waste living, when it wasn't even an Instagram phenomenon. She was kind of following this, and she realized that okay, she wants to live a low waste lifestyle herself, and it ended up kind of led her to make her own products at home first. But she realized that to buy a bamboo toothbrush, she had to get it from somewhere else because it was not available here. So based on that, her inspiration was, hey, how do I make it accessible for myself, but also for other people potentially? And slowly over the course of 1 or 2 years, the conversation started and it started ramping up a little bit. And that's what led to kind of the starting of the business. And for me particularly, I joined 1 year later into the business. And essentially, I was on this journey of just being like a proper businessman, just marketing, trying to get a house, a car, and things like that. But then I, of course, started becoming more open to reading the news, seeing what's up, seeing what's negative, what's positive, and so much more. And that led me to kind of move back to Bangalore, join Bare Necessities, and I've been here ever since. What does bare necessities truly mean as a terminology, or as what we kind of think? It's honestly another way to say mindful living, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Jungle Book, which has the song Bare Necessities, they're literally saying, let's sustain ourselves on the simple bare necessities. We don't need too much of anything. We don't need too little of anything. We are at a juncture in our society where we cannot let go of a few things that we have to buy. We cannot let go of as much convenience anymore. So now we need to figure out a way to make bare necessities as accessible as possible, but as earth-friendly, eco-friendly, and as convenient as possible. So that's where we are, where we come from. We don't do anything in terms of extras. We're like, from when you wake up to when you sleep, what are the products you need, and how do we help you go sustainable with that?
That's amazing. You know, there are certain terms that are synonymous to a sustainable lifestyle and also Instagrammable and fashionable, as you mentioned, to use. But not all of us really understand it really well. So how would you describe terms like ethical consumption and zero waste for those who wish to understand this better?
Yeah. So if you look at our social media, okay, of course, as a business, we have to have sales. We have to have aspects where we're like, guys, come buy the products, because we're a social enterprise. At the end of the day, we're trying to make impact for our team. Of course, we're also trying to sustain lives and make this livelihood or this life a little bit more mainstream, right? But at the same time, if you look at our social media, it's not about just communicating by the products. It's also about educating as much as we can. It's also about telling people that if you have jars from us, reuse them as much as possible. This is how you can reuse them. Or we also have a return and refill your jar program, which is like, if you buy these products, if you're in Bangalore, come to our office, we'll refill it for you. Or if you're across India, collect 5 jars, send us the 5 jars, and we'll give you a discount on your next order, right? So we're trying to keep resources in the loop and we're trying to educate people on social media with this as well. So when it comes to ethical consumption or it comes to zero waste, it's more about seeing things as a resource before you buy. Okay, so if I'm living in my house, the first thing I have to do is do an audit, see how it goes, and then based on that, my consumption happens. And that consumption needs to be conscious, and that consumption needs to be ethical. So in today's world, I feel like ethical consumption is like, and these kind of terminology is driving sales more than what the terminology means. Where it actually means, guys, just buy things that resonate with your values only after you've finished what's already at home, or you realize that this is the step you want to take, and now is the time to take it.
I've also noticed this multiple times that there are a lot of eye-opening documentaries and studies and even reels on Instagram that talk about the dangerous repercussions of the throwaway culture, right? So you'll see these piles of clothes and piles of plastic bottles thrown away somewhere and calling out customers for their increasing consumption. People in that very moment are swayed by emotions, right? So we make those promises to ourselves that, okay, fine, from today, I'm not going to buy anything more than one. I'm only going to stick to things that I really need. But then convenience kicks in. And then we forget all the promises that we've made and all sort of responsibility that we have towards the planet. How do you think a customer can tackle this? Or how have you tackled it in your lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Personally, I'll talk about personal first before I talk about how we tackle it as a business. Personally, I've just learned to become a little bit more compassionate and empathetic toward myself.
Okay.
I know at one point in my life, I was very hard on myself because I was not able to transition completely to zero waste. I wasn't able to get rid of all the plastic bottles. If I'm in a aircraft, for example, and I haven't taken my water bottle or I haven't refilled it in the airport and I'm thirsty, I might say yes. And at those points in my life, I was very hard on myself, and it led to, thinking negative things. It led to eco anxiety, for example. It led to being very hard on yourself and not letting yourself be open to opportunity. So what I ended up slowly in this journey realized is that, guys, it's not just me. There's many people, first of all. And I also realized that for large scale change to happen, you need systemic changes. You need government, you need policies, you need subsidies, you need all these things to make it as accessible as possible, right? So based on that, I started realizing that, okay, as on a personal level, this is the best I can do. And if I make a mistake, I know my intention is good wherever it's at. On a business front, yes, it is very difficult in terms of communicating to people that, look, this is a glass jar. These are the raw materials that go into it that are very groundwater friendly, earth friendly, PETA certified, whatever it is. These are the ingredients that are going into your products. And in addition to that, there is a true cost associated to the product, which means that the people behind the scenes are also treated fairly. There's waste segregation happening on the back. There's so many different costs that we don't necessarily associate when we see a price point, right? And I think that's what people judge by price points, but they don't look at the behind the scenes. And that has, of course, led to maybe a little bit slower transition to a very sustainable, just world, right? But at the same time, I feel like it is happening. There is, like, in terms of communications, in terms of the comments we get, the messages we get, all these kind of things, it's happening for sure. It's just about keeping on going, trying to make it as accessible as possible, as fun as possible, and as actually attractive as possible.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You know, the first step to switching to an eco-conscious lifestyle is awareness. How do you think Bare Necessities has been able to empower people with the right information around sustainability?
That is a very valid question. I think when we entered this space, as I said before, no one was talking about it, no one was doing it. So we had to create a market to sell in the market. And that actually led to our founder. And then when I joined, and whatever small team we had, we all were doing on the ground workshops at corporates, events, locations, pop-ups, just events, workshops, and product setups, just to tell people, guys, this is the product and this is why we're doing it. And the workshops were completely educational. Like, there was nothing else to it, right? So that people can see why, and then they see the products associated to the solution. So we've continued doing those workshops. We've done, I think, 600 plus odd workshops till date, with various different stakeholders. And whether that's corporates for their environment day, whether it's, any kind of those kind of days, we still go in there and do these kind of sessions for them. And in addition to that, what really kind of ended up happening to us was in the pandemic as a small business, which was a struggle. Logistics was hit, manufacturing was hit, and we didn't want to, of course, downsize our team. So we told our manufacturing team, which is actually a women-run completely production team, we told them, guys, stay home, but we'll still do the salaries and everything. We'll, as a leadership team or as a team that is doing the admin stuff, we'll figure it out. So what we did is we actually took the knowledge that we've actually acquired over education or the workshops that we've done, and we put them into self-paced online courses. And we launched 3 online courses. One is Introduction to Zero Waste Living, one is Building Blocks of Sustainability, and one is Introduction to Circular Economy. And today, these courses are actually UNESCO recognized as a climate action resource. And corporates are actually taking some of these courses and putting it onto their LMS. And someone like Cognizant has ended up enrolling 70,000 plus employees into one of our online courses, which they've onboarded. So for us, while the traditional marketing route of ads and social media is one thing, we definitely had to and continue to do these awareness related things in terms of workshops or courses, because the market still has to be educated for us to sell these sorts of products as well. And that's just the truth of it. But the conversation is becoming so diverse, so big, that people are becoming aware. They're asking questions. Maybe they're not making the changes today or tomorrow, but they're still asking questions that are curious. And I think that itself is a good testament that the awareness is slowly increasing. And yeah, we're just grateful for that part for sure, that the awareness is increasing.
I think then that proves that awareness really is the motive at Bare Necessities, which is lovely. You know, as someone who's been at the forefront of this entire sustainability movement, what, according to you, are the challenges of producing products that are sustainable and eco-friendly, and also ensuring that they are in demand? And can something that is environmentally friendly also be economically friendly?
Mm-hmm. So let's look at it. So you have 3 parts to your question. One is supply, one is demand, and one is economic viability, right? Yes. So if we look at supply, very fun, right? It's insanely fun to do because the team is passionate about it. We have a formulationist who does it. We have a founder who is extremely passionate about it, and we have a marketing team and a sales team that really wants to kind of get this out there because we want to make it as accessible as possible. And the value alignment between the team is amazing. I'm sure a lot of founders would say that about their teams as well. So I have to say that Bare Necessities has that. But in terms of, yes, you kind of run through these roadblocks that when you are coming up with research or new products or anything like that, there are stigmas or there's already associated kind of visions about certain ingredients in our market today. And you really have to kind of understand that an ingredient taken to an extreme is bad for the environment, right? So what is happening today in, let's say, the FMCG industry is that there's a lot of economies of scale being achieved through plastic packaging and ingredients that are probably not good for the environment, right? And they're achieving that economies of scale because it's so cheap to produce. And that's why the price point is going down. Now, if I'm supposed to do a supply of an earth-friendly formulation with zero waste packaging, it's fun for me because the research is fun and the values are there. But when it comes to demand, it's low because of the price point, right? Because I need to cover my costs at the end of the day. And I'm a social enterprise. So of course, there's probably some sort of profitability associated with it because I need to run a business. So it becomes difficult to balance those things. But at the same time, because of the previous questions you also asked, like awareness, marketing, conversations, economies of scale needs to be achieved, which is your third part of your question, which is the economic viability, right? Started off as very niche, very expensive for some. And today, when I'm marketing these kind of products, I'm realizing that all of a sudden tier 1 is done, tier 2 is also coming in. And so many different people are associating themselves with sustainability, whether that means even just a bamboo toothbrush, right? Maybe not the soap yet, but maybe just to make a switch to the toothbrush. So that economies of scale takes time because FMCG hasn't seen any innovation in the last 30 odd years, right? They've just been doing the same thing over and over again, scaling as much as possible. So for us to bring that change, for us to change the demand cycle, for us to get that economies of scale while doing earth-friendly ingredients and zero-waste packaging, it takes time and it takes patience and it takes convincing, and understanding. So yeah, I think those are the three parts. They all kind of are very intricately connected,
Yeah,
and literally is a vicious cycle as well.
true, very true. Are there any particular responses or feedbacks from your customers that have stayed with you? And also, how do you feel being a part of such a crucial mission and not just creating something that helps customers lead a zero waste lifestyle or a sustainable lifestyle, but also creating a community of eco-conscious
Yeah.
warriors?
Yeah. Yeah, I think community is the biggest, most powerful tool you can have, especially when you're in the social impact space,
Yeah.
because you need people to believe, and only then will that word of mouth spread or your brand spread or whatever. You need that community to believe in you. And that's why marketing is in-house for us. We keep the communication so close to our heart that anything that we put out there is us, right?
Yes.
It's what we want people to see. So in terms of reviews, feedback, that kind of stuff, I mean, Instagram itself is all these social media channels, of course, have been thriving for us in many ways. While I must say that a large follower count doesn't necessarily mean a large business, but a large follower count does mean that we are doing something correctly in terms of communication, and why people have continued to kind of grow with us since the start of Bare Necessities.
Yeah.
So overall, all the kind of loyal community members that we do have, they are genuinely happy. They're extremely excited to see the products that we do have in the pipeline as well. They come to our events as much as possible. Of course, your target market is also usually working at some sort of organization. So then they reach out and they're like, hey, can we get Bare Necessities to do sustainable gifting for the workplace I work at? So everyone is becoming a champion in their own space, which we can
Yeah.
literally see
Yeah.
happening, which is amazing to see. And I think that is just a testament of building a community. A brand cannot be just on products. Of course, it is built on products. If your products are not good, then the community is not going to be happy. But if the products are good, your community has to be engaged, and then you're just building a good, solid kind of wheel of just smooth sailing wheel kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I do see that, Bare Necessities has come a long way from hundreds of pop-ups and workshops that you mentioned about to now where you're building a community and you're building this wonderful relationship with your customers when it comes to living a sustainable lifestyle. From now, what do you think the future looks like for Bare Necessities? What is the mission for the coming few years?
Yeah, so it sounds huge. I mean, it sounds like far-fetched, but honestly, we just want to change the FMCG industry.
Okay.
Till now, we've been launching soaps, we've launched toothpaste, tooth powders, toothbrushes, so on. But now, I think what we recently launched over the last year are these waterless formats, right? So you
Okay.
just need when you really think about the problem here, a lot of hand soaps, dish soaps, multi-surface cleaners, whatever you buy comes in a big bulky container which has 90% water, 10%
Yeah.
active ingredients.
Yeah.
So we are shipping water, and as customers, we're paying for water, and as organizations, we're paying to ship that water, right? So it's costly on all fronts. And when you associate that with weight and thereafter carbon footprint of that weight to transport, you're again having a huge carbon footprint. So
Yes.
what we decided to launch is we launched waterless concentrate formats of hand soap, dish soap, and multi-surface cleaner. You get them in completely 100% compostable sachets, which also has vegetable dye ink on it. And the sachets also are lined with proprietary tree resin, so not plastic at all. You rip the sachet, you put it in water from your tap water, and it makes hand soap, dish soap, and multi-surface cleaner in the next 10 minutes max, right? You can use dispensers from your home, or you can get our forever dispenser. But the idea is that you're either using something forever, something like a dispenser you're using forever, you're not throwing it out. And the sachets are fully compostable. So start composting, and this will literally not end up in any waste stream at all, right? So our idea now is through shampoo bars, through these revolutionary waterless formats, through soaps, we want to eliminate the usage of water and the shipment of water, because that itself reduces carbon emissions by 80 to 90%.
Okay.
And that's been really good for us. It is a new concept, so people are learning, but people are curious. So it has
Yeah.
been actually become our best sellers since we launched them, which is mind blowing to me, right? But it's amazing to see that receptiveness and people being curious about it, and wanting to also see the change
Yeah.
that they want to see in the market.
Yeah.
So I think that's the future. And post that, we just want to kind of create more green jobs. We want to hire more women. We want to, like the women in our team right now, most of them, this is their first job. They didn't have a bank account before this. So we want to do more of that, of course. And we also kind of donate to reforesting an area of land, which goes through a beautiful concept of rewilding. So it's not like controlled, but it's rewilding. So we want to kind of increase that kind of impact as well, just to show that we are a business that runs on integrity, in addition to, of course, selling products and trying to be a profitable, successful business.
Yeah. Great. I think then it's all about saving the planet and also empowering customers, and not just customers, your own team members. And I think that's brilliant. Founder of Bare Necessities said this wonderfully, that one should live a lifestyle that best reflects the values they care about, which I think is a lovely statement to make. And in today's time, there are a lot of people who wish to live a zero waste or a sustainable or an eco-conscious lifestyle, but they don't know where to start from. They're confused. What are your suggestions for them, and what do you think should be their first step?
Yeah, great question. I think the terminology of zero waste, from where it started to where it is now, has become, first it started off as a goal. Like, this is my goal to one day get there. But now, because everyone is talking about it, it's become a, why can't I do it? Why can't I do it? Why can't I do this? And it's becoming overwhelming for people to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe now the terminology might need to change from zero waste to maybe low waste, because zero waste is very difficult with the current system in place, with the current consumption patterns, with everything around us.
Absolutely.
So that's the first thing. I think the second thing would be become aware of the problems around you, of the solutions around you. If you become aware of only the problems, eco-anxiety, you're going to become sad. You're going to think that nothing's going to change. But you have to become aware of the solutions around you and join those solutions as much as possible.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I would say is, if you want to live a zero waste lifestyle, don't think of your entire life, right? Don't think of your entire day. Think of it in compartments, just like we do for, let's say, studying an exam. When we're studying for an exam, we say, okay, we have 10 chapters to study. Today I'm going to study 2, the next day 2, and then 2, and then 2, and over 5 days I'm going to get to this chapter 10, right? Same thing with the zero waste lifestyle. Target your personal care routine first, okay? Because if you are living in a home with significant others, families, brothers, sisters, parents, roommates, whatever it is, they are not on the same journey as you yet, or they might be ahead, or they might be behind, right? But so what you have control of is your own personal care, your own routine. So make that transition yourself before you start enforcing everywhere else, right? So make those changes, and then thereafter, when you are making those changes, automatically people will start noticing a difference. They will only ask, and that communication becomes that much more genuine rather than forced. And I think then the awareness also starts being shared between people. And that's where I would start personal care. And I would say, share as much as you can, share your journey as much as you can, because if no one hears your journey, then they might not start, right? You need to share and communicate as much as possible.
Absolutely. And we're all here to inspire change, inspire each other to do better. And very rightly pointed out that, a lot of us think that zero waste living is the ultimate goal, is the last step on this journey. But I think it is baby steps that you adopt every day, right? It's a way of life, and you have to adopt it as a way of life. Very wonderfully explained. Thank you so much, Mehul, for taking our time and speaking to me today.
Yes, absolutely. Again, thank you so much, Navya. You're killing it. You're doing amazing with these conversations. I love watching them. So thank you so much for having me, and I had a blast talking to you.